Ukraine's response to Russia's Shahid drone terror. Ukrainian soldiers return home from enemy captivity. Trump hints at sanctions against Putin. A heat wave of up to 40 degrees. All this and more. Watch our broadcast. This is TSN Online. My name is Vitalia Yarmila. Welcome. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the broadcast, and comment on what you found interesting. Let's begin. Russian soldiers killed 2 civilians, wounded 4 in Donetsk region. A resident killed in Kostiantynivka, casualties in Torsky. In Kramatorsk, 2 injured, school destroyed, cars mangled. 2 wounded in Pokrovsk, destruction in Dobrpilya and Sloviansk. In Kupiansk, Kyiv region, a woman killed due to shelling for injured. The Russians also attacked Kyiv. 11 people were injured, including 2 teenagers. A man was wounded in a border village in the Chernihiv region. Russians attacked, he delivered mail. At dawn, enemy shelled Novod-Mitrivka Kherson region with artillery. 1 woman killed, another wounded. Hospitalized person in Kherson. 11 injured in region due to drone attacks. In Primorsk, Zaporizhia, man killed when aerial bomb hit house. 2 more, including a 10-year-old boy, were wounded. 4 were injured in Dnipropetrovsk. In Nikopol, the Russians attacked with drones and artillery. A hair salon, houses, cars, and infrastructure were damaged. 8 people remain in Kryvyi Rih. 1 is in serious condition. The number of victims from the Russian attack on Kyiv the day before has risen to 2. A 25-year-old man who was in critical condition has died in a Kyiv hospital. This was reported by Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. On the night before Friday, the capital endured powerful air attacks since the start of Russian invasion. 31 people were injured. Residential buildings, cars, special equipment, rescuers, ambulances were damaged. The enemy launched a Kinzhal missile, 10 missiles, over 1,000 drones. Of those, 330 were strike shahids, according to Air Force spokesperson Yuri Anet. We have already used them successfully, and we will scale up this experience. Ukraine has started using interceptor drones against the Iranian-Russian shahids. The first results are dozens of successful sorties and the downing of enemy drones over Kyiv. Ukrainian interceptors can reach shahids at high altitudes where small arms or anti-aircraft weapons can't. Also, compared to air defense missiles, these drones are much cheaper. The president of Ukraine spoke about their use. According to Zelensky, the state will work on scaling up the production of interceptors, as well as on training and preparing operators for these drones. As expert Mikhailo Samis told TSN, there are currently several types of interceptors. Most often, those are used that go for a direct ramming of the shahid. And their production and use have several specific features. There are issues with targeting, meaning there are difficulties in guidance. After all, it's nighttime, the target is fast, and here you need precise targeting, which means using various sensors. And that's why this system will be more expensive. It could be around $20,000. But the harm and grief it causes is much greater than can be measured in money. Moreover, it could even cost $1 million. Another prisoner exchange took place the day before. Another group of Ukrainian defenders has returned home. Among those released are the severely wounded, the seriously ill, as well as servicemen. They're younger than 25 years old. In addition to soldiers and sergeants, Officers were also freed. TSN correspondent Mariana Buchan witnessed how the exchange took place and who was waiting for the guys.
Ukraine had been waiting for this stage of the 66th prisoner exchange for over a week. In particular, in the villages near the border, through which the buses with the freed men were to pass, preparations were thorough. This group specially sewed a long flag. Aunt Zina, they said, we need something big because we're small. We thought we'd have to tear up some sheet or cobble something together from somewhere. But then we decided we should buy it and do it properly, nicely, and reliably. And the buses with our boys usually have to wait here for hours.
So these guys, honestly, are like real ants. They worked up a sweat. Really awesome. They look like they're in an icon, I don't know, as if they've never seen people before. I'm crying because it's worth it. This is a really, really painful subject. This is for our boys. We're waiting for them, and we'll keep waiting until the very end.
First, ambulances with the sick and wounded arrive at the hospital. Some of them get emotional when they see the crowd waiting to greet them. Welcome.
Welcome.
Then come the buses.
Welcome.
Welcome. And here, the freed guys are already less emotional. Follow me. They quickly get off the buses, confused but smiling, and hurry into the hospital.
Welcome, everyone here.
Welcome. Representatives of the negotiation group explained that most of those freed had been prisoners since 2022. Both seriously ill, severely wounded, and young defenders have returned. They are younger than 25 years old. In addition to enlisted personnel from state ranks, today officers were also freed. This is important. Most of those released today had spent more than 3 years in Russian captivity. There are representatives from different directions, but in particular, the defenders of Mariupol have been freed today. It is known that in this 8th stage of the current exchange, there are civilians whom the Russians took from their own homes in the occupied territories. According to international conventions, they should simply be released, not exchanged. Bringing such prisoners home is especially difficult. How it was managed this time, the special services are not disclosing yet.
Since this crucial exchange is not yet fully finished, here's the current situation on the front line, straight from the most reliable source. Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky recently visited the strategically important Kyiv region. Here, approximately a dozen intense battles take place every single day, and the enemy is persistently trying to push forward with very large forces. So, together with the local command on the ground, he thoroughly discussed what the brave soldiers urgently need for more effective defense and to successfully counter the enemy's aggressive advances. The enemy shelled positions 6,312 times. They dropped 120 aerial bombs and launched over 5,000 drones. Deep State reports enemy occupation of Nova Ukrainka and Zeleny Cut with advances near Odrad. Across the front, over 100 battles recorded, more than a third in the Pokrovsk direction. Attacks are numerous. Our defenders are repelling them in the North Slobozansky and Kursk directions. Despite minor advances, occupiers suffer significant losses in manpower and military equipment. Aviation, missile forces, and artillery struck 2 tanks, 7 armored combat vehicles, 56 artillery systems, and 150 units of occupier automotive equipment. They are tougher with Russia than even Iran. Last night, Trump commented on his conversation with Putin. He emphasized he was very dissatisfied with the conversation because the war continues and Putin is ready to go all the way. Trump says the U.S. has helped Ukraine and will continue to do so. He recalled he and Putin talked about sanctions, and the Kremlin leader didn't like them. At the same time, True to his style, Trump said the Russian dictator managed to deal with the sanctions imposed by Biden, and they weren't very serious. But if he imposes sanctions, they'll be tough. We'd like to see action, not just words, to be honest. I'm tougher on Russia than on Iran. He managed to deal with them, but those were Biden's sanctions, while mine are pretty tough. Do you think this kind of Donald Trump would dare to impose crushing sanctions against Russia? And under what conditions? Be sure to share your own thoughts in the comments under this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, I'll continue with the TSN broadcast. NATO appointed a new commander of allied forces in Europe. Position taken by Alexis Grinkwich, an American Air Force general. He replaced Christopher Cavalli, held post since 2022. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte thanked Cavalli for increasing the alliance's military presence in the Baltic Sea and for establishing a new command in Germany, which strengthens support for Ukraine. The new commander, Grinkwich, will be responsible for planning and carrying out NATO operations on the European continent. He is of Belarusian origin, and at the end of June he stated, and I quote, "Ukraine is capable of winning the war against Russia." The best response to the latest massive Russian attack on Ukraine is to increase investment in Ukraine's defense sector. This opinion was expressed in an interview by Denmark's chief diplomat. He emphasized that the funds for such investments could come from frozen Russian assets. This is an issue Copenhagen is currently considering in connection with its upcoming EU presidency. Both the Danish Prime Minister and the European Commission President have emphasized Europe must strengthen support for our country. For example, invest more, as Copenhagen is doing, in Ukraine's defense industry, which still has capacity for additional orders.
I am very proud of our cooperation in directly supporting production in Ukraine. And I would also like to convey this message to the rest of the European leaders. You have more opportunities than we have finances. You will be able to produce more critically important capabilities in Ukraine if we manage to find more funding. So I think this could be the next step for Europe.
Donald Trump has indeed signed his Vig Beautiful law. It sets out new tax and migration policies, as well as budgetary matters. The law extends some tax breaks and implements part of Trump's campaign promises. For example, it eliminates taxes on tips and overtime wages. It allocates hundreds of billions of dollars to immigration control and defense. But to find the money for this, the Republicans decided to cut about $1 trillion from the federal health insurance program. This will mostly affect people with disabilities and those with low incomes. And also, Trump hopes to limit the maximum size of the national debt. However, opponents of the law are convinced that the debt will only increase. Either way, the law is also being actively opposed by Trump's former ally, Elon Musk. He even promised to create his own political party if the president signs the document. Well then, we're waiting for a new show which the modern American political scene loves so much. Without you, I'm like yellow without blue. Hundreds of people gathered today on the Maidan to remind Ukrainians and the world about their loved ones who are in captivity or missing. The event was organized by the relatives of the boys from the 71st Brigade. Later, another dozen organizations joined the initiative. The women's goal is to draw attention to the problems of missing and captured soldiers. After all, in their opinion, not enough is being done now to search for the heroes, and as time goes by, it becomes harder and harder to find them. Today we decided to specifically remind everyone about our guys. Today we decided to remind people about them loudly. More than 24 are dead or missing. Children. These are the consequences of a sudden storm in Texas. The epicenter was in the county. Kerr is about 100 kilometers from San Antonio. For the local authorities, the disaster came as a complete surprise. Due to heavy rains, the level of the Guadalupe River rose by a record 9 meters in some places. The water destroyed roads, swept away cars, including ambulances. More than 230 people were forced to evacuate, many with the help of helicopters. The Mystic camp was especially hard hit. At the time, there were over 700 children there. 25 of them are considered missing. A state of emergency has already been declared, and local authorities have appealed to the White House for help. And what's the weather like in your region? Write about it in the comments below this episode. With that, I'm wrapping up this broadcast with you. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss our live streams.